First of all, thank you very much for the organizers for having invited me. I'm just a representative of our team who is working in the Near East since a long time. We started the work before any direct problems or wars damaged the area. So we saw Syria and the other countries before the war. We could see the difference. And maybe that helps us also to detect what is most needed. So, how we got there, first of all, a few sentences about it. The Catholic University, where our Institute of Archaeology is working, is, as the name implies, is a higher educational institution of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church itself is highly devoted to the cooperation between civilizations and religions, of course, naturally. And because of that, our university has a very strong international commitment and is doing all it can to enhance this dialogue with our own tools. It's actually research and education. That's our duty. And needless to say, we have a very special commitment to the Near Eastern countries, where you have the Muslims, with whom you can make very nice dialogue. You have the Eastern, the Oriental Christians, and a very effective tool in this cooperation is archaeology, because the Near East is also the place where you have incredible amount of archaeological sites, world-class category, and also this was the cradle of civilizations. That's where Christianity was born. And another objective thing that dragged us towards this territory is that I myself did Arabic studies also, and at a time when it was still 5 years and not 3 years BA, 2 years MA and so on, besides archaeology and history, and I'm deeply devoted to this area, especially Syria, where I studied at the Damascus University also. We have fieldwork projects in Syria, Iraqi Kurdistan and Lebanon, but Syria is far the most important of all. Fieldwork projects are the effective tools of the cooperation, not just signing all sorts of memorandums of understandings and sometimes visiting each other, but working together on somebody's monument, sharing expertise. I mean, that's the best one can do in the field of archaeology. The first Syrian archaeological mission, the Syrian-Hungarian archaeological mission, was established in the year 2000. Ever since that time, 23 years, we have been working, and in 2007 we got the concession, 2006 we got the concession, 2007 we started working in the citadel of Markab, which is the largest medieval castle in the Holy Land. Here, during the peacetime, so before 2010, when Syria could live peacefully and the whole country was thriving, and there were more than 150 foreign archaeological missions also working beside the Syrian national missions. We were working the usual archaeological business, excavations, processing the finds, also documenting the site as much as possible. We had geological studies, archaeology, whatever. And this did change considerably from the year 2011. Two things basically changed. Within 1 year, we were the only foreign mission who still stayed in Syria. And ever since we are working, as we said, Hungarians never leave their friends and colleagues, so we stayed there and kept the mission going on. The other thing is that priorities changed very suddenly, because instead of the archaeological researches and these nicely planned scientific excavations, saving whatever is above ground became a top priority. So excavations were used to the places which is absolutely necessary for restoration or statical strengthening of walls, and most of the care was put towards documentation, archaeological documentation, like the finds, and also the architectural documentation. And finally, in the year 2022, in April, we got to the point where we could find the sources to open the first visitor center in Markov. It's a very important issue that not only archaeological researches are going on and nice scientific publications are made, which very few people read, to be honest, especially if they are in English and not Arabic or Hungarian, but we have to give back something to the local community and to the tourists who are visiting the castle. So this was actually the peak of our work, and then came on the 6th of February 2023 the big earthquake, which of course its epicenter was in Turkey, in Diyarbakir and in Gaziantep and these regions, but it did reach down to Syria and made very considerable damage in the castle. Actually, if there is no immediate reconstruction and strengthening of the main tower, the crown of the castle, then we estimated that 2 or 3 years, I mean, simple winter season with lots of rain, 700 millimeters, and the upper part is done. And then the dormitory will follow, and then it's going to endanger the stability of the church. Of course, for this end, this summer, we concentrated our efforts for documenting the damage, 3D documentation, geodesy, whatever, and our architects, our colleague Zsolt Vacsáros, who is working with us in all our Eastern projects together with the University of Technology and Economics. They are very good and stable partners in all our projects and friends. They and static experts from Hungary, they started modeling and preparing together with the Syrian colleagues of what can be done in this case and how much money is needed for it. At the same time, in this reconstruction program, we will pay a special attention to the already lot studied stuff of ours in Markov Citadel, the medieval water management, because this is another very important issue. Nowadays, you know, these green things and protecting the environment, so on and so on. This castle was supplying about 2,000–3,000 people, plus its horses, animals, bathhouses, whatever, with water all through the year, and the water is limited only to rainwater, as this is a big volcanic cone on which the castle is constructed, so you can try to dig wells, but that's not going to work. So what the Crusaders did, and everybody who lived before them and after them in the castle, they were excavating huge cisterns, collecting the rainwater, and much of this structure is still working, and it can be rehabilitated very easily. And just imagine if all this clean and natural water could be put to use for the local inhabitants around the castle. Okay, part of it can be used for the services in the castle, like flushing the toilets, and the rest can be donated to the agricultural lands around the castle. This would also enhance the affection of the local people towards their monument, which is also supplying them with all sorts of useful and free things. After being there and being the only one there, we were invited to the famous Croix de Chevalier also to help the Syrian colleagues there. I think all of you know about the castle, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, actually the most famous Crusader castle in the Holy Land, but at the same time it's also an outstanding example of Muslim military architecture. And there is a very strong Hungarian direct link to the castle. Andrew II, our Crusader king, did visit the castle with his armies, and he ordered a permanent donation for the castle, which was 100 silver marks. It equals to about 24 kilograms of silver that had to be sent every springtime, every Easter time, to upkeeping the castle. Actually, the same amount of money was ordered to be sent from Hungary every year to Margat Castle also, but this is more famous here. We don't know for how long this money was sent from Hungary. What we know is that between 2012 and 2014, the rebels took the castle, and they not only used it as their military vantage point, but also used the castle to terrorize the Christian population of the Wadi. It's still a big Christian bloc living here, more than 300,000 people. And so it became a military point and a point of terror. It was retaken by the Syrian army in 2014, and during these 2 years it had suffered some considerable damages, needless to say. We were asked by the Syrian colleagues to start helping there also. Our joint mission started working there too, and there started the damage assessment. You can see some examples how the students from the VME and our Catholic University working together in Legoing together the exploded Gothic window frames, and also rebuilding started with the support of the Hungary Helps project, which is, I mean, on this rebuilding and all these architectural stuffs, my colleague Zsolt Vacsáros is going to give a much better overview. I would like to stress that rebuilding these structures not only saves these structures, actually we did finish it just before the earthquake, and that's why they are still standing, because this Baybars Tower, which is one of the most outstanding examples of Muslim military architecture. From the inside it's much nicer, but Zsolt is going to show that part. If it had not been stabilized, the facade, then it would have crumbled down. At the same time, this rebuilding activity supported by the Hungary Helps is something that gives hope to the locals to stay there and to keep working. Gives job opportunities. I don't know how many of you know about very simple facts. Nowadays in Syria, because of the international embargoes, the war is basically more or less over. Because of the embargoes, we have about 1 hour of electricity per day. So you can forget the refrigerators, washing machines, hair drying or whatever, and the average salary is about $20 per month, and you have basically like Hungarian prices there. So I think I said everything about the situation there. Also, the project includes the stabilizing and cleaning the medieval frescoes. It's very rare to have medieval frescoes preserved in Crusader sites, in medieval sites altogether, not only in the Near East, but also in Europe in many places, especially that was struck by Ottomans, Tatars, whatever, which we had in the central part of Hungary. And the project has managed to find a huge number of hitherto unknown frescoes, and they have been stabilized, they have been cleaned, and there is a very serious study being done with all sorts of modern machinery and the laboratory experiments on trying to reconstruct how the whole thing was painted and from what material, what they were using during the work. And of course, we had some archaeological excavations limited only to the territories that were affected by this reconstruction and stabilization work. one of our nice finds, actually the richest thing, was, here in this hole, excavating this part of the church to detect the original pavement levels of the apse and its surrounding triumphal arch and so on. We found this intentionally built rectangular shaft in the under the later Ottoman pavement and Mamluk pavement, and when we checked what is inside, we found 23 Crusader coins, all of them silver, maybe one was bronze, and they were comprehending like 100 years. So we had coins from the Kingdom of Jerusalem, so from before 1187 and until actually the fall of the castle, 1271 to the Mamluks. There were no later coins, and what also we found there were the remains of 3 miserable creatures, mice. From this, it's pretty evident what the story was. This was a so-called sacrarium of the church. You know, this little shaft that is intentionally built in big cathedrals or churches for disposing of the Eucharist that was not used, or the already transformed wine, and it was just put in this depot, and that's why the mouse were coming. And the Mamluks apparently didn't know anything about this story, so when they took over and they transformed the church into a mosque, basically on the same day when they took the castle, because Friday was approaching and they had to say their Friday prayers, they were not lamenting much of what the hell this is. They just paved over it, and those poor animals couldn't get out, and they were stuck there. A very important thing to stress is the work of the students. As I said in the introduction, we are an institute of higher education, and we try to make use of all our researches to enhance teaching. So we have Hungarian and Syrian students also working in documenting and studying the castle. And quite recently, thanks to the Directorate of Antiquities of Syria, we started to help in another Hungary Helps sponsored project in the Hanania Chapel in Damascus and its environment. Actually, we are only helping the documentation of this area, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the old city of Damascus. And this is where, according to the legends, Hanania, the first bishop of Damascus, was giving a place to Saul and was baptizing him, and that's how he became Saint Paul in the end. So it's a very important early Christian site with a house that really dates to the 1st century, 3.5 meters below the present day floor level. We do have, as I said in the beginning, some archaeological missions in Lebanon too, occasionally, and we have a Kurdish-Hungarian archaeological mission in the north of Iraq. And finally, the last slide, with the help of the Study in Hungary program of the Stipendium Hungaricum, this also gave a big impetus to our work. We could start accepting students from the Near East in the special training program we created for them in Hungary. The local Syrian projects are very good in getting to know the students, choosing the ones who are really worth of studying here, and then they can complete their MA or PhD degrees here in Hungary. Needless to say, most of the places are reserved for the Syrian students. They are the most in need, and we love Syria the most. And until now, 52 MA students got their diplomas. 8 PhD students started their defense, their doctoral defense. Just 2 days ago we had one. And 12 PhD students completed their absolutory, and more are to come. And it is worth mentioning, I think, that in our curriculum, the MA and the PhD is designed just for them. So it's Near Eastern archaeology. It's not the copy-paste version of what we give to the Hungarians. It's completely different, with very strong practical training in using the new technologies and excavation, whatever. And also a very important rule is that they all have to do their researches from their own home country. And in this respect, we also like to extend our thanks to the Directorate General of Antiquities of Syria, whose representatives are here and who are also taking a very good care for our students in supplying them with material and so on. Thank you very much for your kind attention.